Welcome. What if one ordinary Lincoln Bicentennial cent could tell the complete journey of Abraham Lincoln's life, and why are collectors so fascinated by a handful of exceptional examples that most people overlook? In this documentary, we'll follow the story behind every design, uncover the details experts examine first, and reveal what truly makes certain authenticated coins stand apart. First coin. Few modern American coins have sparked as much quiet curiosity as the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial penny featuring the formative years reverse. At first glance, it appears to be another ordinary cent, but a closer look reveals a design unlike any regular Lincoln penny issued before or since. Abraham Lincoln is shown sitting on a log in the Indiana wilderness, an axe resting nearby while he pauses to read a book, capturing a defining chapter of his youth rather than his presidency. That single image transformed an everyday circulation coin into a miniature historical narrative that millions of Americans unknowingly carried in their pockets. Yet not every surviving example is viewed the same way by collectors. Later in this documentary, you'll discover why professionally authenticated pieces have realized remarkable prices at auction, why some examples are worth only face value while others command impressive premiums, and how seemingly small differences in condition, strike quality, mint origin, and rare production errors can dramatically influence collector demand. The story begins in 2009, exactly 2 centuries after Abraham Lincoln's birth. To commemorate the bicentennial, the United States Mint departed from its long-running Lincoln Memorial reverse and introduced an ambitious 4-coin program illustrating different stages of Lincoln's life. The formative years design represented his adolescence in Indiana, emphasizing the determination that shaped one of America's most influential presidents. Rather than celebrating military triumph or political leadership, the coin highlighted education, perseverance, and self-improvement. The reverse was designed by Charles Vickers and sculpted by Jim Licoretz, while Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Lincoln continued to appear on the obverse, preserving a design first introduced in 1909. This combination of historic continuity and fresh storytelling made the Bicentennial series unlike any previous Lincoln cent program. Although billions of Lincoln cents had already been produced during the preceding century, the 2009 issues immediately attracted both casual collectors and experienced numismatists because they represented a one-year-only design that would never return to regular circulation. Collectors also appreciate this coin because of its technical characteristics, many of which often go unnoticed by the general public. Like other circulating Lincoln cents of its era, the formative years penny was struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet consisting of 97.5% zinc with a thin outer layer of copper. It weighs approximately 2.5 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and features a plain edge rather than a reeded one. Coins were struck at Philadelphia and Denver for circulation, identified respectively by the absence of a mint mark and by the familiar D beneath the date, while specially prepared proof versions bearing the S mint mark were produced in San Francisco for collector sets. The Philadelphia and Denver facilities manufactured hundreds of millions of these coins to satisfy nationwide demand, ensuring they entered everyday commerce in enormous quantities. Even so, experienced collectors know that mintage alone never tells the entire story. Survival rates in pristine condition, handling after release, storage methods, and the quality of the original strike often matter far more than the total number originally produced. Examining the design reveals why it resonates so deeply with historians as well as collectors. The reverse captures a young Lincoln seated on a split log, his axe leaning nearby while he studies an open book. It symbolizes the remarkable reality that Lincoln educated himself largely through borrowed books despite growing up under modest frontier conditions. Inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, 1 cent, and the motto In God We Trust frame the scene without overwhelming its storytelling power. On the obverse, Brenner's portrait continues to project Lincoln's calm determination, creating a visual connection between the humble student and the future president. When viewed under magnification, well-preserved examples display sharply defined wood grain, crisp lettering, and detailed folds in Lincoln's clothing. Coins with unusually bold strikes often attract stronger collector interest because they preserve these fine details exactly as intended by the mint. Weakly struck pieces, by contrast, may exhibit softness in Lincoln's features or reduced definition in the surrounding inscriptions, making them less desirable even if they have seen little circulation. As the years passed, collectors began separating ordinary circulated examples from coins displaying exceptional preservation or unusual production characteristics. Professional grading services evaluate these cents according to the Sheldon numerical grading scale, ranging from heavily worn examples to virtually flawless mint state specimens. Equally important are the recognized color classifications of brown, red-brown, and red, commonly abbreviated as BN, RB, and RD. Because freshly struck copper surfaces naturally oxidize over time, fully red examples retaining nearly all of their original mint color are considerably more difficult to preserve. A mint state 67 red coin, for example, may bring around $1,250 when professionally certified and supported by strong eye appeal, while an even finer mint state 68 red example with exceptional luster and virtually flawless surfaces has realized approximately $3,600 in competitive auctions. These results do not mean every 2009 formative year's penny carries similar value. They demonstrate instead how rarity at the highest certified grades can elevate an otherwise common issue into an intensely competitive collectible. Beyond condition alone, mint errors and die varieties have created another layer of fascination surrounding this bicentennial issue. Collectors continuously examine these cents in search of doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, retained cuds, clipped planchets, and dramatic die chips that escape the mint's quality control process. Among the most desirable are well-defined doubled die varieties showing clear separation in lettering or design elements rather than simple mechanical doubling caused during the striking process. Off-center strikes retaining a full date and identifiable design are particularly popular because they combine visual drama with complete attribution. Authenticated examples of significant errors have sold for amounts well beyond ordinary collector premiums, especially when certified by respected grading companies and preserved in mint state condition. Nevertheless, specialists caution against assuming every unusual-looking coin represents a genuine mint error. Damage occurring after the coin entered circulation, including machine damage, environmental corrosion, or accidental impacts, can imitate genuine varieties. Careful examination under proper magnification, comparison with documented diagnostics, and professional authentication remain essential before assigning substantial value to any suspected error coin. Authentication has become increasingly important as collector interest in modern key varieties continues to expand. Although counterfeiters more commonly target classic rarities, deceptive alterations and fabricated errors occasionally appear in the marketplace. A coin advertised as an extraordinary rarity should always be examined for consistent weight, proper diameter, correct metallic composition, authentic edge characteristics, and design details matching known mint specifications. Third-party grading services, such as PCGS and NGC, provide independent authentication, assign standardized grades, and encapsulate coins in tamper-evident holders that inspire greater confidence among buyers and sellers. Serious collectors often prefer certified examples because they reduce uncertainty surrounding authenticity and condition. Proper preservation also plays a significant role in maintaining long-term value. Handling coins only by the edges, storing them in inert archival quality holders, avoiding PVC-containing plastics, limiting exposure to humidity, and never cleaning the surfaces can preserve original mint luster that collectors prize. Even a gentle cleaning intended to improve appearance may permanently alter the surface, leaving microscopic hairlines that reduce both desirability and market value. Today, the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Formative Years penny occupies a unique place within modern American numismatics. It represents far more than a commemorative design change. It reflects a deliberate effort to tell Lincoln's personal story through circulating coinage that millions of people encountered in everyday life. Most surviving examples remain affordable educational pieces, allowing new collectors to build complete bicentennial sets without significant expense. Yet the finest certified red specimens, scarce verified mint errors, and elite registry quality examples continue to attract determined bidding whenever they appear on the market. Extraordinary auction records are reserved for those exceptionally rare coins whose authenticity, preservation, strike quality, and certified grade distinguish them from the overwhelming majority produced for circulation. That distinction serves as an enduring reminder that true numismatic value is never determined by date alone. Instead, it emerges from the careful combination of historical significance, rarity, condition, collector demand, and independent verification, turning an ordinary-looking Lincoln cent into a remarkable artifact of American history for those fortunate enough to preserve an exceptional example. Next coin. Among the 4 special Lincoln Bicentennial cents released in 2009, the Denver Mint issue featuring the Presidency in Washington, D.C. reverse has developed a reputation that extends far beyond its humble face value. To many Americans, it looked like just another penny entering circulation during a year marked by economic uncertainty, yet collectors quickly recognized that this final design completed one of the most ambitious storytelling programs ever attempted on a circulating United States coin. The scene on the reverse represents the unfinished United States Capitol during Abraham Lincoln's presidency, a powerful reminder that the nation continued building its future even while enduring the Civil War. That symbolism, combined with the coin's one-year-only design and growing demand for exceptional mint state survivors, has made it an increasingly studied modern collectible. As this documentary unfolds, you'll discover why certain authenticated examples have attracted remarkable attention in the numismatic marketplace, what characteristics separate ordinary circulation pieces from elite collector specimens, and how professional grading, originality, and rarity ultimately determine whether a seemingly ordinary cent becomes a genuinely desirable numismatic treasure. The story of this coin begins with the United States Mint's decision to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth through an unprecedented 4-design series illustrating different chapters of his life. Rather than replacing Lincoln's portrait, the Mint retained Victor David Brenner's enduring obverse, first introduced in 1909, while changing the reverse throughout the year to portray Lincoln's Kentucky birthplace, his formative years in Indiana, his professional life in Illinois, and finally his presidency in Washington, D.C. The final design, created by Susan Gamble and sculpted by Joseph Menner, depicts the partially completed Capitol dome exactly as it appeared during Lincoln's administration. Construction continued despite the immense pressures of the Civil War, reflecting Lincoln's determination that the Union would survive and the nation's democratic institutions would endure. This image transformed an everyday cent into a historical narrative, reminding Americans that progress often continues even during periods of profound national hardship. The Denver Mint, identified by the familiar D Mint mark beneath the date, produced hundreds of millions of these coins for circulation, ensuring they reached every corner of the country. Understanding the coin also requires remembering the remarkable circumstances surrounding its release. The year 2009 followed the severe financial crisis that had shaken the United States and much of the world. Although economic recovery had begun, unemployment remained elevated, consumer spending was cautious, and the Federal Reserve continued extraordinary monetary policies intended to stabilize financial markets. Americans still relied heavily on cash transactions for everyday purchases, allowing bicentennial cents to circulate widely almost immediately after entering commerce. Ironically, while these pennies celebrated one of the nation's greatest historical figures, they were released during another period when Americans faced uncertainty about the country's future. The reverse image of the unfinished Capitol, therefore, carried unexpected contemporary relevance, symbolizing resilience and long-term national optimism. Unlike commemorative medals destined primarily for collectors, These cents fulfilled their traditional monetary role while simultaneously serving as miniature educational artifacts encountered in grocery stores, restaurants, banks, and pocket change throughout the nation. Technically, the 2009 Presidency cent follows the standard specifications established for modern Lincoln cents after the early 1980s composition change. Each coin was struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet containing approximately 97.5% zinc with a thin outer layer of copper, producing a total weight of about 2.5 grams. The diameter measures 19.05 millimeters, and the edge is plain rather than reeded. Although these measurements appear routine, collectors recognize that successful production requires remarkable precision. At the Denver Mint, blank planchets were prepared, annealed, cleaned, upset to raise their rims, and then struck under tremendous pressure between engraved dies carrying Brenner's obverse and Gamble's reverse. Freshly struck examples emerged displaying brilliant mint luster created by microscopic flow lines formed as metal filled every recess of the dies. Coins struck from newly polished dies often exhibit especially crisp architectural details on the capital and unusually sharp lettering, while those produced from worn dies may reveal softer definition despite never having entered circulation. These subtle differences in strike quality have become important considerations for specialists assembling top-ranked registry collections. As collectors examined surviving examples over the following years, it became increasingly clear that exceptional preservation would determine long-term desirability far more than the original mintage figures alone. Most coins entered commerce immediately, acquiring contact marks, dull surfaces, and discoloration through ordinary use. Professional grading services evaluate surviving specimens according to the Sheldon numerical grading scale, while also assigning copper color designations of brown, red-brown, or red. Because original mint-red surfaces gradually darken through oxidation, fully red examples preserving nearly all of their original brilliance remain significantly scarcer than heavily toned counterparts. Certified Mint State 67 red examples have sold for around $1,180 under favorable market conditions, while superior Mint State 68 red coins with outstanding luster, minimal abrasions, and exceptional eye appeal have realized approximately $3,250 in authenticated sales. These figures reflect certified coins meeting rigorous grading standards rather than average circulation finds, illustrating how quality and preservation, not merely date and mint mark, drive serious collector competition. The Denver issue has also attracted sustained interest from specialists searching for legitimate mint errors and die varieties. Genuine off-center strikes retaining complete dates, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and properly documented doubled dies command attention whenever authenticated examples appear on the market. Such pieces are scarce precisely because mint quality control procedures remove the overwhelming majority of defective coins before release. Nevertheless, authentic errors occasionally escaped into circulation and now occupy respected positions within specialized collections. Collectors must remain cautious, however, because post-mint damage can closely imitate genuine production mistakes. Flattened lettering caused by circulation, impact damage, chemical exposure, or mechanical alteration should never be mistaken for valuable mint varieties. Reliable attribution requires careful comparison with documented diagnostics, appropriate magnification, and preferably confirmation by established third-party grading services. At present, no universally recognized ultra-rare major variety defines this issue in the same way certain classic Lincoln cents are identified by famous doubled dies, making careful research essential before assigning significant value to any unusual-looking specimen. Because modern coins have become increasingly popular among registry set competitors, authentication now plays an essential role in the marketplace. Organizations such as Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company examine each submitted coin for authenticity, surface preservation, strike quality, luster, color, and evidence of cleaning or alteration before assigning an official grade. Certified encapsulation provides buyers with greater confidence, particularly when purchasing higher-grade modern cents that may appear visually similar despite substantial differences in market value. Collectors also learn that preserving originality is every bit as important as finding a high-grade example. Cleaning a copper-plated cent, even gently, can leave microscopic hairlines, disturb its natural surfaces, and permanently reduce collector appeal. Proper long-term storage in inert archival holders, stable humidity, moderate temperatures, and minimal handling by the edges helps preserve the brilliant copper color that advanced specialists prize. While counterfeit examples of this specific circulation issue are not widespread, fabricated mint errors and altered coins occasionally appear, making certification especially valuable whenever substantial sums are involved. Today, the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial Presidency cent occupies a distinctive place within modern American numismatics because it combines historical symbolism, educational significance, and genuine collecting challenges in a single circulation coin. It concludes the bicentennial series by portraying Lincoln at the height of his leadership during one of the nation's defining crises, linking the unfinished Capitol dome to the unfinished work of preserving the Union. Most surviving examples remain accessible to beginning collectors, yet the finest certified red specimens, carefully documented mint errors, and elite registry-quality coins continue to generate meaningful competition whenever they reach the marketplace. Extraordinary prices occasionally reported for this issue have been achieved only by authenticated, superbly preserved, exceptionally graded examples or verified error coins possessing unusual rarity and outstanding eye appeal. Those exceptional results should never be interpreted as applying to every 2009 Presidency cent found in circulation. Instead, they demonstrate a fundamental principle of numismatics. True value emerges from the intersection of authenticity, condition, scarcity, historical importance, and sustained collector demand, allowing one modest Denver-minted cent to stand as both a tangible piece of Lincoln's legacy and a fascinating study in the modern rare coin market. Next coin. At first glance, there is almost nothing about the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cent featuring the professional life reverse that seems extraordinary. It is the same familiar size as every modern Lincoln cent, the same copper-colored coin that has passed through countless cash registers, pockets, and piggy banks. Yet experienced collectors often pause when they encounter one in circulation, carefully turning it beneath a light before deciding whether it deserves a closer examination. That quiet moment of inspection is where the real story begins. This is one of those coins whose importance is rarely understood by the people who spend it, but is immediately recognized by specialists who know exactly what details deserve attention. As we examine this piece together, layer by layer, you'll discover why authenticated examples have become increasingly desirable among modern Lincoln cent collectors, what separates ordinary survivors from exceptional ones, and how seemingly minor differences in preservation, strike quality, and originality have transformed certain examples into highly respected modern collectibles. The investigation begins with the reason this design exists at all. In 2009, the United States Mint celebrated the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth by issuing 4 different reverse designs, each illustrating a defining chapter of his remarkable life. Rather than focusing only on Lincoln the President, the series explored the journey that shaped him long before he entered the White House. The professional life design represents Lincoln's years in Illinois, where he established himself as a lawyer while developing the intellect, integrity, and public reputation that eventually carried him into national leadership. Designed by Joel Iskowitz and sculpted by Don Everhart, the reverse portrays Lincoln standing confidently before the old state capitol in Springfield, Illinois. Instead of depicting military victories or political ceremonies, the artwork emphasizes personal growth and civic responsibility. Victor David Brenner's classic portrait of Lincoln, first introduced on the cent in 1909, remained unchanged on the obverse, creating a visual bridge between the familiar Lincoln cent Americans had known for generations and this unique one-year bicentennial series. Before examining collector value, an experienced numismatist studies the technical foundation of the coin itself. Every authentic circulation strike professional life cent was produced on a copper-plated zinc planchet containing approximately 97.5% zinc beneath a thin outer layer of copper. Each weighs about 2.5 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and features a plain edge. These specifications provide important clues during authentication because altered or counterfeit pieces may display incorrect weight, dimensions, or surface characteristics. The coins were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints for circulation, while proof versions carrying the San Francisco S mint mark were produced specifically for collector sets. The mint mark, when present, appears beneath the date on the obverse and immediately tells collectors where the coin originated. Although both Philadelphia and Denver produced enormous mintages, neither facility manufactured every coin with identical striking quality. Slight differences in die wear, planchet preparation, and production efficiency can create noticeable variations that become meaningful once collectors begin searching for the finest surviving examples. Looking more closely at the reverse reveals details that are often overlooked during everyday use. Lincoln stands before the old state capitol, where he delivered his famous House-Divided speech in 1858, years before becoming president. The building itself is rendered with surprising architectural precision considering the small size of the coin, while Lincoln's upright posture conveys confidence earned through education, legal practice, and public service rather than inherited privilege. Under magnification, experienced collectors inspect the sharpness of the Capitol's columns, the crisp folds in Lincoln's clothing, the clarity of every letter in the inscriptions, and the strength of the strike across the entire design. Weak strikes sometimes soften the finer architectural details or reduce the definition of Lincoln's figure, while stronger strikes preserve remarkable sharpness. Original mint luster is equally important. Fresh coins display brilliant cartwheel reflections created by microscopic flow lines formed during striking. Once those delicate surfaces become worn, cleaned, or damaged, much of the coin's visual appeal, and often its collector desirability, is permanently diminished. As more of these cents disappeared into circulation, collectors gradually realized that condition would become the true dividing line between ordinary and exceptional examples. Most entered commerce immediately, collecting small contact marks, fingerprints, scratches, and oxidation that slowly transformed bright copper-red surfaces into darker shades. Professional grading services evaluate surviving coins using the Sheldon grading scale while also assigning color classifications of brown, red-brown, or red. Because original copper color naturally changes over time, fully red examples preserving nearly complete mint brilliance are significantly scarcer than circulated brown pieces. Specialists searching for registry-quality coins carefully evaluate every mark, every interruption of luster, every tiny imperfection beneath magnification, and the overall balance of eye appeal. Certified Mint State 67 red examples have sold for roughly $1,340 when exceptional preservation and attractive surfaces aligned with strong collector demand, while especially impressive Mint State 68 red coins have realized approximately $3,420 in authenticated sales. Those prices reflect only certified, elite condition survivors rather than the millions of ordinary circulation pieces that remain readily available. No careful investigation would be complete without searching for genuine mint errors and die varieties, although this requires patience and disciplined observation. Collectors routinely inspect professional life cents for legitimate double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets. Broad strikes, die cracks, retained cuds, and other documented production anomalies. Authentic examples can command substantial premiums because they represent unusual events that occurred during the minting process rather than after the coin entered circulation. However, experienced numismatists are equally skilled at recognizing what is not a mint error. Damage caused by parking lots, counting machines, corrosion, chemical exposure, or attempts to alter a coin after it left the mint frequently imitates valuable varieties. Mechanical doubling, for example, is commonly mistaken for a doubled die despite being a completely different phenomenon with far less collector interest. Reliable attribution depends on matching documented diagnostics, studying reference material, and whenever significant value may be involved, obtaining professional authentication from respected grading organizations before drawing conclusions. The closer we examine this coin, the more obvious it becomes that preservation is every bit as important as rarity. A coin that survives untouched from the moment it leaves the mint retains characteristics impossible to restore once lost. Collectors therefore handle valuable cents only by their edges, avoiding fingerprints that can permanently stain copper surfaces. They store them in inert archival quality holders free from harmful PVC, protect them from rapid temperature changes and humidity, and resist the temptation to polish or clean them. Cleaning almost always reduces collector value because it destroys the original surface texture that professional graders expect to see. Authentication has likewise become increasingly important as interest in modern registry quality, Lincoln Cents, continues to grow. Third-party grading companies evaluate authenticity, identify obvious alterations, assign standardized grades, and encapsulate qualifying coins in tamper-evident holders. Although counterfeit circulation strike professional life cents are not considered a widespread problem, fabricated mint errors and altered pieces occasionally appear in the marketplace, making independent certification an important safeguard whenever meaningful sums are involved. Stepping back from the magnifying glass, the broader significance of the 2009 professional life cent becomes unmistakable. It represents far more than a temporary reverse design introduced during a commemorative year. It captures the period in which Abraham Lincoln developed the legal reasoning, moral conviction, and public character that later defined his presidency. That historical narrative gives collectors something deeper than simple rarity to appreciate. Most surviving examples remain affordable educational pieces that introduce new hobbyists to modern United States coinage. Yet the finest certified red specimens, exceptional registry quality survivors, and authenticated mint era examples continue attracting serious competition whenever they appear at auction. Extraordinary prices occasionally reported for this issue belong exclusively to coins distinguished by elite grades, verified originality, remarkable eye appeal, or important production errors, never to every cent bearing the same date. That distinction lies at the heart of responsible numismatics. Careful observation, historical understanding, professional authentication, and respect for originality reveal why one small Lincoln cent continues to reward those willing to look beyond its face value and appreciate the remarkable story preserved within its copper-colored surface. Last coin. Countless Americans have handled the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cent featuring the birth and early childhood reverse without giving it more than a passing glance. Yet seasoned collectors often stop the moment they recognize its distinctive design. What appears to be another ordinary penny is actually the opening chapter of one of the most ambitious storytelling programs ever placed on circulating United States coinage. The reverse depicts the humble log cabin associated with Abraham Lincoln's birth in Kentucky, presenting the beginning of a life that would ultimately reshape the nation. For most people, the coin simply entered circulation and disappeared into pocket change, but within the numismatic community, it has become the subject of careful study, patient searching, and spirited competition whenever exceptional examples emerge. As we follow the evidence surrounding this remarkable cent, you'll discover why certain authenticated pieces have become especially desirable among collectors, how specialists determine whether a coin truly stands apart from millions of others, and what documented market results reveal about the qualities that command the greatest respect. The origin of this coin reaches back to a milestone in American history. 200 years after Abraham Lincoln's birth in 1809, the United States Mint commemorated the bicentennial by replacing the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse with 4 different designs released throughout 2009, each illustrating a defining stage of Lincoln's life. The birth and early childhood reverse was the first issue in that sequence and established the historical foundation for the entire program. Designed by Richard Masters, and sculpted by Jim Licoretz, it portrays the simple one-room log cabin traditionally associated with Lincoln's birthplace at Sinking Spring Farm near Hodgenville, Kentucky. Although historians recognize that the symbolic cabin seen on the coin should not be interpreted as an architecturally precise reconstruction, it successfully communicates the modest frontier environment into which Lincoln was born. Victor David Brenner's celebrated portrait remained on the obverse exactly as it had for generations, preserving one of the most recognizable designs in American numismatic history while allowing the reverse to tell a fresh story about Lincoln's earliest years. The timing of the coin's release added another fascinating layer to its significance. America entered 2009 still recovering from the financial crisis that had disrupted global markets, leaving many households focused on saving rather than collecting. At the same time, the nation welcomed a new presidential administration while reflecting on Lincoln's enduring influence during another period of economic uncertainty. Despite those circumstances, the United States Mint continued producing cents for daily commerce, striking the Bicentennial series at Philadelphia and Denver for circulation, while San Francisco prepared proof versions for collectors. Philadelphia issues carry no mint mark, Denver coins display the familiar D, and proof examples bear the S mint mark. Together, the circulation mintage reached well into the hundreds of millions, making the design widely available across the country. Yet experienced numismatists understood immediately that large production numbers do not guarantee abundant supplies of flawless survivors. History has repeatedly shown that condition rarity often develops long after a coin enters circulation, as attrition gradually removes the finest examples from everyday use. Examining the coin itself reveals why specialists devote so much attention to details that casual observers rarely notice. The birth and early childhood cent follows the standard specifications of modern Lincoln cents, measuring 19.05 millimeters in diameter, weighing approximately 2.5 grams, and featuring a plain edge. It was struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet composed of roughly 97.5% zinc beneath a thin copper coating. During production, blank planchets were prepared, annealed, cleaned, and struck under immense pressure between engraved dies carrying Brenner's obverse and master's reverse. Fresh examples displayed brilliant mint luster created by microscopic metal flow during striking, producing the familiar cartwheel effect visible under proper lighting. Experienced collectors begin their examination by confirming the date, identifying the mint mark if present, evaluating strike sharpness around the cabin logs, roof lines, lettering, and Lincoln's portrait, then studying the surfaces for abrasions, spotting, or evidence of mishandling. These subtle characteristics frequently determine whether a coin remains an ordinary circulation piece or advances into the realm of serious collector interest. As surviving examples matured over the following years, the marketplace demonstrated that preservation matters far more than simple availability. Professional grading services evaluate Lincoln cents using the Sheldon numerical grading scale, while also assigning color designations of brown, red-brown, or red to describe how much original copper color remains. Since freshly struck copper naturally oxidizes over time, coins retaining vibrant red surfaces become progressively scarcer with each passing year. Registry set collectors compete intensely for examples combining sharp strikes, uninterrupted luster, clean fields, and outstanding eye appeal. Under favorable market conditions, a certified Mint State 67 red specimen has realized around $1,480, while an especially impressive Mint State 68 red example with exceptional originality and virtually pristine surfaces has sold for approximately $3,780 in authenticated transactions. Those figures apply only to elite certified coins meeting rigorous grading standards. The overwhelming majority of circulated bicentennial cents remain inexpensive historical keepsakes rather than high-value collectibles, underscoring the critical importance of condition, certification, and originality. No investigation into a modern Lincoln cent would be complete without exploring the production anomalies that fascinate specialists. Collectors carefully inspect birth and early childhood cents for genuine double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, retained cuds, and other documented mint-made errors. Authentic examples are uncommon because the mint's quality control procedures successfully intercepted most defective coins before they entered circulation. Even so, a small number escaped into commerce, creating legitimate opportunities for collectors who understand exactly what they are looking for. Caution remains essential because post-mint damage can imitate valuable errors with surprising accuracy. Flattened lettering, harsh cleaning, environmental corrosion, and mechanical damage often create misleading appearances that inexperienced observers mistake for rare varieties. Reliable attribution depends on comparing a coin with published diagnostics, using adequate magnification, and seeking professional authentication whenever significant value might be involved. If an unusual feature cannot be verified through recognized references, responsible numismatists avoid making unsupported claims rather than inventing rarity where none exists. Authentication and preservation ultimately determine whether a promising coin maintains its long-term desirability. Third-party grading organizations such as PCGS and NGC evaluate authenticity, identify obvious alterations, assign standardized grades, and encapsulate qualifying coins in secure holders that help preserve both condition and buyer confidence. Their certification has become increasingly important as registry competition for modern Lincoln cents continues to expand. Collectors who discover attractive examples should resist the temptation to clean, polish, or chemically brighten the surfaces, because even careful cleaning permanently alters the original texture that professional graders expect to see. Proper storage in archival quality holders free from harmful PVC, stable humidity, moderate temperatures, and minimal handling by the edges provides the best opportunity for preserving mint luster and original copper color. While counterfeit circulation strike birth and early childhood cents are not considered a widespread concern, altered mint marks, fabricated errors, and misrepresented grades occasionally appear in the marketplace, making careful examination and reputable certification valuable safeguards before significant purchases. Viewed through both historical and numismatic perspectives, the 2009 birth and early childhood Lincoln cent represents far more than the first release in a commemorative series. It symbolizes the humble beginning of a man whose leadership would profoundly influence the course of American history, while simultaneously reminding collectors that extraordinary stories can reside within the smallest everyday objects. Most surviving examples continue to circulate among collectors as affordable reminders of Lincoln's bicentennial celebration. Yet the finest certified red specimens, carefully documented mint-era coins, and exceptional registry quality survivors consistently command the strongest attention whenever they appear for sale. Extraordinary prices associated with this issue have always belonged to authenticated coins distinguished by remarkable preservation, elite grading, or significant verified production anomalies, not to every cent bearing the 2009 date. That enduring distinction explains why experienced collectors never judge a coin solely by its age or appearance, but instead by the evidence preserved within its surfaces. Sometimes the greatest discoveries begin with the smallest details, and the next remarkable chapter in rare coin history often starts with a closer look.